The Carolina Panthers are coming off 5 losing seasons in a row and have finally decided that it was time to turn this team around and forever change the culture going forward. Last season, the Panthers ended with a record of 7-10. However, they have started this offseason by making some pretty solid additions, and they are looking to make a huge leap in 2023. In this video, I'll be breaking down everything that the Panthers have done so far this offseason and what they need to do next in order to shock the world next season. However, before we jump into the video, make sure you guys smash that like button. It helps out the channel so much. Let's see if we can get this video up to 500 likes. And if we do, I'll drop a new video explaining what the Panthers' potential draft strategy will be leading into the NFL draft in just a couple of weeks. Also, subscribe to the channel if you're new. I will be covering the Panthers and the rest of the NFL all year long, so join the family. And one last thing, comment down below, who do you believe is the most underrated player on this Panthers team right now? And without any further ado, let's jump right into today's video. So before we deep dive into every signing that the Panthers have made, let's quickly take a look back at 2022 and see where the Panthers ranked compared to the rest of the NFL, just so we can get a better understanding of where they needed to improve the most coming into this offseason. So firstly, let's take a look at the offensive side of the ball and their offensive numbers. So in 2022, the Carolina Panthers ranked number 19 in points per game, number 29 in yards per game, number 17 in yards per play, number 30 in third down conversion percentage, number 22 in touchdowns per game, number 12 in red zone scoring percentage. Overall, not the best, and they definitely had a lot of work to do moving forward. And the good news is the Panthers have already had an amazing, or laid out an amazing blueprint, and everything's starting to fall into place for them. At this point in the offseason, they're starting to make the right moves. But let's take a deeper look to see where most of their offensive issues stems from. Now, the Panthers ranked number 14 in yards per rush, number 10 in rush yards per game, and number 13 in rushing touchdowns per game. Compared to their passing attack, which struggled, ranking number 31 in completion percentage, number 29 in pass yards per game, number 26 in interception percentage, and number 22 in sack percentage. Overall, the passing game needed a major overhaul, and guess what they did? Exactly that. The Panthers currently hold the first pick in the NFL draft and have their pick or their choice at any of the quarterbacks in the entire draft. And they must believe that one of these guys is a transcending talent, because why else would you trade for the number 1 pick? Giving up as much as they did, they must believe one of these guys has the ability, has the talent to become the next big quarterback in this league. Now, comment down below, who do you want the Panthers to snag with the number 1 overall pick? Now, let's jump into what they've added to start this offseason. Firstly, bringing in a brand new running back in Miles Sanders, a guy who personally I really like and think he can be a solid running back for Carolina going forward. He signed a 4-year deal, and this time this is going to be his home for the next couple of years. In 2022, Miles Sanders rushed for a career high 1,269 yards on 259 attempts, averaging 4.9 yards per carry, and he also had 11 touchdowns overall. An underrated running back who I believe the Panthers just stole. Next, they decided to bring in 2 wide receivers to replace DJ Moore. Firstly, let's talk about DJ Chark, the new DJ coming into town. Chark is a massive athlete, freak of nature type of player at 6'4", 205 pounds, and has a great catch radius. However, has struggled to stay healthy over his career. But talent was never the issue with DJ Chark. And if the Panthers can keep him healthy, this is going to be an amazing signing going forward. In 2022, he put up 30 catches for 502 yards, 3 touchdowns, while averaging a crazy 16.7 yards per catch in just 11 games. They also added veteran wide receiver Adam Thielen. Now, the reason I like this one is strictly because he's a veteran who can, 1, help guys develop, and 2, just be a locker room presence, a locker room leader going forward for this team. And especially for a rookie quarterback who's going to come in here and need some mentorship. Adam Thielen is a guy who has been in the league for a while, has played under a couple of different quarterbacks, and will be able to come in here and just help out overall, teach these young wide receivers, young quarterbacks, and just help them develop from here on out. So Thielen will be an immediate, reliable target for whoever is throwing him the football And he's had a great career so far and still has some left in the tank. In 2022, he had 70 catches for 716 yards, 6 touchdowns, while averaging 10.2 yards per catch. Again, they didn't stop there and added a brand new tight end in Hayden Hurst. Now, this is going to be a very impactful signing in my opinion. Not only is he one of the best run-blocking tight ends in the league, but he's also been productive over the last few years as a pass catcher as well. In 2022, Hayden Hurst ended with 52 catches for 414 yards and 2 touchdowns, while averaging slightly under 8.3 yards per catch. And I think he's going to overall just provide them great depth, run blocking ability, and another safety valve for the young quarterback. Whoever steps in here will have a nice safety net in Hayden Hurst and Adam Thielen. So I like what they're doing so far, adding to this little core of receivers. Quickly, I do want to mention the fact that they also signed free agent quarterback Andy Dalton, who potentially could start if they want to slowly ease, the rookie quarterback into things. But I fully expect either Matt Corral, C.J. Stroud, Bryce Young, or maybe even Anthony Richardson to come in here and be a day one starter for the Panthers going forward. But with Dalton, I think he's going to be utilized as a mentor throughout camp and someone who can just help these other guys, develop as well. Overall, this offense is looking very solid, but still have a ton of work to do going forward. And we'll talk about that later on in the video, what they need to do next. So make sure you guys stick around. But before we jump into the defensive side of the ball, make sure you guys subscribe, smash that like button if you're new, if you're enjoying the video so far. I will be covering the entire NFL offseason, which includes the rest of free agency, the draft, any trades that take place. I got you guys covered, so make sure you guys join the family if you haven't already done so. Okay, so defensively, the Panthers have also needed to address some big things to start free agency, and they pretty much did what they needed to do. Now, their biggest needs coming to the offseason were probably defensive line and the DB room defensively, and the good news is they definitely went to work from day one, adding some solid talent in these position groups. Now, again, let's take a look back at 2022 and see where they ranked compared to the rest of the NFL last season. Now, Carolina ranked number 17 in points per game allowed, number 22 in yards allowed per game, number 17 in yards allowed per play, number 23 in third down conversion percentage, number 18 in red zone scoring percentage allowed, and number 22 in TDs allowed per game. Honestly, it wasn't the great, but it could have been a lot worse. And the Panthers have a lot of young talent on this team already to build around, so they're already trending in the right direction. But again, let's take a deeper look to see where the majority of their issues stem from. Now, the Panthers' run defense ranked number 12 in yards allowed per rush, number 18 in rush yards allowed per game, and number 21 in rush touchdowns allowed per game. Compared to their passing numbers, or their passing defensive numbers, which ranked number 23 in passing completion percentage allowed, number 21 in yards allowed per pass, number 22 in passing yards allowed per game, number 27 in interception percentage, and number 25 in sack percentage. Overall, this Panthers team needed to improve a ton in a bunch of different areas, including getting to the quarterback, creating turnovers, and overall just getting stops on third down. The Panthers knew what they needed to do from day one and started adding right away. Firstly, bringing in former Saints defensive tackle Tuttle, a young defensive tackle, I think he's 27 years old, who's played in the NFL for about 4 years now and has put up 143 tackles, 68 solo, 4 sacks, 1 forced fumble, 1 interception, 14 pass deflections, and 10 stuffs as well. Tuttle will most likely come in and be a day one starter, providing physicality and more strength within that interior defensive line. Next, they sign another defensive lineman in Deshaun Williams. Now, Williams is a little bit older than Tuttle. I think he's 30 years old, but is coming off a career season with the Denver Broncos, putting up 37 tackles, 21 solo, a career-high 4.5 sacks, 1 interception, and 8 pass deflections, as well as 8.5 run stuffs in 2022. Another potential starter alongside Derek Brown, Shai Tuttle, with some amazing edge rushers and Brian Burns and Yurdu Gross-Matos. I don't know if that's how you say his name, but correct me if I'm wrong. But the front seven looks so much better compared to last season already. They look for them to slightly improve in some of their major numbers defensively, but additions still need to be made on that defensive line going forward. They need to get a little bit younger for the most part. But I like what they've done. They've also added a safety in Von Bell, who I think is going to be a huge pickup for the secondary. It allows their X-factor player like Jeremy Chin to move all around the defense and just be more versatile, which I think he can easily do. This secondary is starting to look loaded for 2023 with guys like J.C. Horn only getting better day by day. You got Dante Jackson, Jeremy Chin, Xavier Woods, and now Von Bell. Von Bell has been a monster over his 7-year career, putting up 635 tackles, 435 solo, 9.5 sacks, 15 forced fumbles, 11 fumble recoveries, 6 interceptions, and 28.5 stuffs as well. A day one starter and will be a vital player for the Panthers going forward. And lastly, they brought in some linebacker depth yesterday, adding Kruger Hill as a backup behind guys like Shaq Thompson and Frankie Louvo. I think that was a much needed signing. Not going to come in here and be a day one starter by any means, but he will come in and just add some depth to this team. Overall, the Panthers have made some great moves, but there are some holes that they need to fill heading into the draft. Now, mainly their biggest areas that they need to improve on going forward for the rest of free agency and the draft is probably addressing quarterback, which they will do with the number 1 pick. They will. They also need to add some nickel depth. Right now, on their depth chart, they only have Jeremy Chin starting at nickel, and they have no depth behind him. You have guys like Keith Taylor. You got guys like Herb Miller. But other than that, you don't really have anyone else. Maybe C.J. Henderson, but you don't really have too many nickel corners. So nickel is something they need to, solidify. The trenches, both defensive and offensive lines, need some work. And I also would like them to see a couple of young guys at the wide receiver position to grow over the next few years. I mean, when you take a look at this roster, the Panthers have added 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 potential starters going into 2023 with guys like DJ Chark, Adam Thielen, Hayden Hurst, potentially Andy Dalton, Miles Sanders, Deshaun Williams, Shai Tuttle, and Von Bell. I mean, they have added a ton of talent here to come in and just be, big-time players here in 2023. But overall, I like what this roster is looking like right now. I want them to, kill the draft. They did give up a lot of, draft capital, in terms of getting that number 1 pick from the Bears. But, I mean, overall, you got Terrence Marshall, DJ Chark, Adam Thielen. You got Preston Williams, Laviska Shenault, Shai Smith, who I like. Then from there, the offensive line looks pretty decent. On paper. Could use some work, some developing for sure, but maybe some depth as well. Some more right tackles. I like Hayden Hurst. I like Tommy Tremble and Ian Thomas. Look good. The quarterback room, it will look good once they draft someone. I like Miles Sanders and Chuba Hubbard. Rasheem Blackshear is also pretty good as well. And on defensively, you got Deshaun Williams, Derek Brown, Shai Tuttle. You got Gross Matos, Frankie Louvu, Shaq Thompson, Brian Burns. I mean, absolutely looking very good in that front 7. Again, could use some depth. I like Brandon Smith, that middle linebacker. Kruger Hill could add some nice depth for them. And then in the secondary, we already talked about their secondary. Looks very, very good. Again, some depth could be something they look to add. But at the moment, it looks pretty damn good. I like what they're doing. I like what the direction their Panthers are heading. So make sure you guys comment down below. Who are some names you want the Panthers to go out and sign in the rest of free agency, or who do you want them to go out and draft this season? And it's just a few weeks away. So make sure you guys subscribe, hit that like button, join the family, and I will be seeing you guys in the next video. And like I said, 500 likes, I'll be dropping a brand new Panthers video, and I'll be seeing you guys soon. Peace.